Okay, so I've been waiting a really long time to make a video about this game. I've just never felt good enough to do it. I had to dig through all my old stuff and everything. It's gonna be... Where'd I put it? Oh, I had it here like 2 seconds ago. It can't be outside the room.
That's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie.
Metropolismania, a game from my early childhood, co-developed by Media Factory and Indie Software, two companies that technically don't exist anymore, but published by Natsume, the old school simulator company that brought us Harvest Moon and Legend of the River King. Man, it's been ages since I've played this, but I can't wait to crack this case open, play it again, and tell you guys exactly what I think about it.
That's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie.
Okay. The city builder genre has always been largely untouchable for me. I don't know if it's the constant micromanagement or the meticulous diligence you need to keep the city running properly or what. There's just something that deters me from really digging into those games. I loved the premise, but I could never wrap my head around the application, so I was more attracted to spin-offs and lesser versions of city building. When my cousins were playing SimCity 2000, I was playing Sim Tower. When my friends were talking about settlers, I was talking about my life as a king. This attraction eventually led me to Metropolismania, a city building game that's more about the shape of your city and the people living in it than it is about making sure your city doesn't implode on itself. What I seem to have forgotten since playing it 12 years ago, however, was how dire the situation in Metropolismania is made out to be in the opening cinematic. The scrolling text sounds like it was written by a crazy man.
2002. Mankind is searching for a new hero.
Yeah, you know, considering this game came out at the end of 2002 in the West, I think you should have bumped that doomsday year up just a few decades. The gist of this already short description is electronic technology has marred personal communication between people, and if something isn't done soon, something bad will happen, and superheroes can no longer save the world. Well, yeah, unless Spider-Man turns out to have a social worker's license, I don't see how any superhero could solve this problem. How do the countries of the world believe they can solve this issue? By building cities, of course. Cities dedicated to human communication. And that's where you come in as the Metropolis Maker.
Welcome. You've been assigned a special duty by the government. This is a top secret mission.
This is your boss, voiced by an earnest but awful voice actor. I can't tell if he's nervous or if the voice director asked him to put more emotion into it and he misinterpreted that as pausing and putting emphasis on every word.
Though people can live without communication, they tend to be less productive.
Do you wish that the first Apollo mission hadn't reached the moon?
If the scrolling text didn't make you feel uneasy, wait until you hear what he's got to say about our mission.
Over the past decade, a major enemy has emerged. Convenience.
Wait a minute. Wouldn't convenience be our greatest asset in this situation? If we made it more convenient for people to talk to one another, wouldn't that help fix the whole lack of communication problem? I don't know, it just seems like targeting convenience is kind of a crazy thing to do when you want people to do more of something.
You like meeting people? You have lots of friends. And to my understanding, you're a very good listener.
Whoa, easy there, big guy. Don't get fancy with me, just stick to the script, alright? Trust me, they are not paying you to improvise.
It is because of these reasons that we have chosen you out of 1 billion people.
1 billion people? That's your sample size? Exactly how many people fit the criteria you were looking for?
1 billion people.
1 billion people fit the description of the person you needed. Jesus Christ, that's not impressive. Am I supposed to count myself lucky?
You are our best weapon. You are our last hope.
Clearly not if you picked me out of 1 billion people. 1 billion is a very big number, okay? Fortunately, he's the only voice-acted character in the game, and we only get these cutscenes in between missions and in between this headache-inducing overlay that I cropped out for obvious reasons. The boss gives us our snazzy yellow suit, our equipment, and sends us on a training mission in order to become a Metropolis Maker.
To become a Metropolis Maker,
Metropolismania is basically split into 5 levels, each with a certain goal you have to meet, usually related to population size. Build a road using your magic chalk and then use your applications list to move people in. You don't have to choose where people put their houses because they'll eventually move themselves in and build along the roads you make, but it's explicitly stated that this isn't a good idea since you could end up with a lot of unused space or a building on a spot where you were planning on expanding the road. In other words, as long as you have building applications and empty space by the road, people are going to move in whether you like it or not, so it's best to get them sorted out before they screw up your building plans. If you've got a good eye for movement, you might have noticed that these controls are a bit janky, and you're absolutely right. In layman's terms, the control scheme for Metropolismania makes no goddamn sense. For some reason, the right analog stick isn't mapped to camera controls. Instead, pushing the stick in any direction moves your character in that direction, which wouldn't be strange in the slightest if it weren't for the fact that the left control stick turns your character left and right and moves them back and forth. It's a very stop and go motion akin to tank controls, but without any purpose for it. The only camera control is the zoom function, mapped to all 4 shoulder buttons, which again is weird considering they do the job that 2 buttons could have done by themselves, freeing up 2 of the shoulder buttons for left and right rotation of the camera. Unlike Mystic Heroes though, where the slow and unresponsive controls were detrimental to a game that required precision and speed, the controls in Metropolismania don't make or break the gameplay to any major extent, and you do get used to them. Let's meet our first townies and wish them a happy hello. Hey there, neighbor. Oh. Yeah, there's something about this game that I skipped over in the introduction. Metropolismania is one of a set of budgetware games, and that means there's a lot of cut corners. This is a PS2 game released in 2001. This is also a PS2 game released in 2001. Masterpiece. Mashed potatoes. Most of the gameplay in Metropolismania involves talking to your town's residents, so I hope you really like mashed potatoes. You see, you'll eventually run out of applications from people wanting to move into your town, and without applications, you can't hit that population goal. So in order to get more residents, you need to ask the people living in your town if there's anyone they can introduce you to. But you might not want to bring in too many people at once. In addition to building a metropolis, the other part of your job is making sure the people living in it are happy, and that means solving complaints. As your city continues to grow, some buildings might start flashing a particular color. If you pay that building a visit and talk to the residents there, they'll ask you to build something nearby, like a gas station or a restaurant, and that means having to ask other residents if they can help introduce you to some such building owner. Just having it in the city isn't enough. It has to be close enough for them to access it without it being a huge hassle to get there.
A major enemy has emerged: convenience.
Look, I don't have the time to sweat the details of this operation, okay? If you have a problem with the way I'm doing things, take it up with my boss. Wait, you are my boss. Has anyone ever told you that you bear a striking resemblance to Hitler? Because you look an awful lot like Hitler. Complaints can stack up pretty high, but that's actually recommended. As you solve complaints and repeatedly talk to residents, your approval rating will go up, and at a 120% approval rating, phone calls will come rushing in from strangers wanting to move into your town for a short period of time. And yes, I understand that 120% makes no sense. Solving complaints shoots the approval rating up, so placing down multiple complaint-solving buildings at one time can give you a huge surge that can trigger the 120% bonus. But if you wait too long to solve complaints, the people with those complaints will move out and take their buildings along with them. That means if a building you placed down to solve an earlier complaint moves out, you'll have to solve that complaint again, or more people will move out. And every time someone leaves your town, your approval rate plummets, making it that much harder to bring it back up. And that's the cycle of Metropolismania. Build the road, plot the houses, talk to people, solve complaints. I suppose you'll want to know whether or not that's fun after a few hours.
No!
But designing your own city and having that design challenged by the needs and wants of the people living in it is a cool premise for a game. It's a clashing of form and function in how they interact with one another, and having to balance out the two is an appropriate challenge in a game like this. Metropolismania even throws a couple of curveballs at you in the form of scenarios. Each level has a different kind of event that happens. Your town can have a thief living in it, and you have to catch them or else people will get their stuff stolen and move out. Or if that's not crazy enough, a cult can spread among your residents, making it impossible impossible to get new introductions from anyone but residents you've already become friends with. It just sucks that all of these things that are cool and interesting in their own right are at the mercy of the most repetitive aspect of this game. You need to talk to every single resident in your city if you want to bring up your approval rates, if you want to solve complaints, and if you want your city to grow. We're building these cities to improve communication, and that's an admirable goal, but now I know why communication was such a problem in 2002. These people are so boring! There's 400 of them in this one town, and not a single person here is remotely unique. Every character is one of 5 different archetypes split further down into 2 or 3 subcategories. They all say the same things, they all talk about the same things. In fact, that cult scenario is a bit redundant. They do try to change it up with some residents giving you conversation pieces that you can use with other residents just like them, but then it devolves back into mashing the X button so you can bring up the friendship meter. This is a vital mechanic that you need to take part of in order to win, and as your town gets bigger and bigger, this becomes more and more tedious. The only fun that comes out of talking to residents is the terrible localization. Everything is transliterated from the original Japanese context, and no time was spent trying to conventionalize it for English-speaking audiences. Everyone says really weird things like, "I have not been given much money due to the business depression," and "Leave me alone or I'll call the police!" It's funny if you like dumb translations, but there aren't a lot of different lines to begin with, and once you've gone through all of it, you stop caring. Do you care? Did you even make it to the end of the video? But that's what I can say about Metropolismania. Someone at some point in the development of this game cared. They had a small budget they couldn't go over, and they managed to make something interesting. Even if it stopped being interesting 3 or 4 hours in. That doesn't excuse the problems, but taking into account the silly premise, the laughable voice acting and dialogue, the parts of the game that are fun, there's a certain charm that Metropolismania has that I can't ignore. It's quirky, and I like quirky. So not exactly a hidden gem by any means, but Metropolismania was just one of many. The early 2000s was around the time that I started taking a lot more chances with the games I had played, grabbing random stuff off the shelf because it had cool box art or because it looked like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was a strange time filled with demo discs and awful video game rentals, but it also led me to a little RPG called Evolution Worlds. Hello everybody! Thank you once again for watching another episode of GC Positive. If you're new here, hello! I am GC. I enjoy making an ass out of myself on camera. If you would like to be further entertained, feel free to click on either of the 2 videos you see on screen right now. And if you'd like up-to-date information on when the next video is coming out, or would enjoy listening to the random musings of an insane man, please follow me in the following social media sites. The links are down below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video and would like to show your support, please click the like button and subscribe to GC Positive for more videos in the future. Once again, my name is GC. Don't forget to stay amazing, and I'll see you all next time.